Meanwhile, we are now getting ready to dive into our series. Our players are back. They have returned. We have our first TVZ of the day, mate.
That we do. Potentially the first of many if the other side of these quarterfinals, or not quarterfinals, well, technically it's quarterfinals. The other side of these pre-qualifiers pan out the way I think a lot of people are expecting it to pan out. As we kick off our first pre-qualifier here on Lightshade LE, we're in the top left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the top left-hand corner. We have the blue Terran player coming from the land of Taiwan, one of the big three Taiwanese Terran players, really. He is going to be representing Clan Rush. He is Naxin.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Lightshade LE, we have the Japanese Zerg player. He is red, representing Team GDA. It is Vaisravana.
Going for that pool first.
Ooh, interesting choice here. It wasn't a crazy 12 pool or a 14 pool. It was a more standard pool first opening. But I'm curious what this means exactly. We are on Lightshade. Rushes is relatively short.
Yeah, as you were saying, this isn't the most aggressive opening a Zerg player can go for, especially in a ZvT, but because of that short rush distance from Lightshade, Naxin is gonna have to have some serious alarms ringing once he scouts this. Could always be a Bane Bus following this. Could always be a very quick Roach Warren.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, thankfully, Naxin, he's SV scouting. He sees the late natural. He knows, pool first. I'm gonna keep my Reaper at home. I'm gonna protect my CC. Ooh, he actually opts to make it on the high ground.
Okay. Better to be safe than sorry most of the time, after all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, right now I'm just staring at the production tab, looking to figure out what Vaisravana's follow-up is going to be. Just a couple of lings so far, and he is mining gas.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure if Vaisravana saw that he got SCV scouted, because the SCV actually never went into the main base. He saw the natural, then went back home quickly. So Naxin, he doesn't know the gas timings. He doesn't know how aggressive this is. That's why he's playing this ultra safe. Meanwhile, I guess you could argue that these lings, they did deal some damage, right? They forced the CC to be made on the high ground. So it does delay the base a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, somewhat. Also chips away at the supply depots. Reaper's on the other side of the map, and it will get a lot of scouting information. Also means that there's nothing defending against those lings back on the other side of the map. Apart from a couple of repairs, I suppose.
Yeah,
there's a safety marine.
It's very interesting to see how this played out, because again, another reason why Naxin made the CC on the high ground was because he didn't want to keep the Reaper at home. He wanted to be aggressive with it across the map and maybe hope to catch like a greedy Vaisravana. Not just that, but also go for a follow-up scout, see if there was additional gases, a faster lair or a faster Roach Warren.
But instead of any of that, we get Spore Crawlers.
Yeah, he let it. Oh, feels bad, man. Oh god, that was the spore that the drone morphed into as it was getting focused down by the Reaper. So unfortunately, he forgot to cancel. It did finish and turn into a spore. The other thing is that this third base is pretty late as well from Vaisravana. Like, yeah, that Reaper did a really.
Spore Crawler.
Yeah, that does come into play.
Didn't get a refund.
Yeah. Oof. Aye.
Yeah, definitely a little unlucky. But on the plus side, at least that main base is going to be safe against, say, any air harass, which isn't coming, because that is a Viking, and eventually probably Banshees. A lot of Hellions are being produced right now, and if Naxin, commits to the Viking, it's not out of this world to just go for a straight-up Hellbat timing.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit worried here for Vaisravana. There are plenty of Hellions coming out here. They are going to be able to defend against these lings. Meanwhile, Vaisravana, he is getting a Roach Warren behind this. So eventually he is going into those Roaches, going for that kind of Gurgajoy-esque style. But against that, as you said, we are going to have Banshees.
Yeah, which will do a very good job of defending against roaches if Vaisravana decides to be aggressive with it. One thing I noticed, though, despite that spore crawl in the main base, they are missing from the rest of the bases right now of Naxin.
Yeah. Again, it's something where Vaisravana, he just hasn't scouted the main base. He doesn't know what kind of opening he's up against. He doesn't know that he needs those spores. Yeah, he hasn't even gotten eyes on that third location, on that third CC. Meanwhile, we have a lot of lings coming across the map. Same with those roaches, like Vaisravana. He has stopped drone production.
He has had enough. He's not looking too confident in his chances of out-macroing Naxin here. He wants to do as much damage as possible to put him ahead as the game continues, or if he sees an opportunity, just end the game right there. But again, with the Banshee out, with the Hellions, it's gonna be pretty tough. The wall is not a wall!
Oh, the wall is not a wall!
But it doesn't matter.
The depot is going to go down. What's important is that sure, the Banshee can eventually clean this up, but there's no tank. Hellions do nothing against Roach Ravager. They do well against Lings, but again, the Roach Ravager are pushing up the ramp. The tank is a done, and he gets into the main.
That he does. Hiding his Zerglings as well, so they don't just get roasted by the Hellions outright. Roach Ravager is drawing a lot of fire of the Hellions away from the Lings as they surround every single SCV. Everything's starting to go down, Light.
Oh, God.
This is damage that Vaisravana needed.
It is, but is it enough? That's my question, because all three CCs are still alive. Naxin, he's down in workers, but, I mean, he has mules available to him, so he's kind of equal in terms of economy.
On 3 orbitals, yeah.
Yeah.
Can definitely remake this very, very quickly. And as you said, mules, if they mine, are going to be a very big boon.
Exactly. So Vaisravana did a lot of damage. It did enough damage to equalize, but obviously not kill his opponent. And I think the game is just going to continue on from here, mate.
Oddly enough, as both players are on pretty much equal footing. Vaisravana got that third base mostly just so he could produce more Lings and Roaches, but now that the attack is done and his third base is alive, might as well just drone up there.
I mean, he has to. he's gotta try and take advantage of this situation. Meanwhile, Hellions are coming across the map. What is there to defend? Okay, there are Lings at the natural. They can respond to these Hellions. The Hellions shouldn't get too much damage here at the third. Up.
Operated for being shouldn't, and they don't. There's definitely a bit of an opportunity there for Naxin.
Yeah. 2 drones go down. Not bad at all. Meanwhile, here we go. A double drop is coming across the map. Stim is done. So is combat shields.
And the Lings do spot this. They're getting ready to intercept the drop as it lands. Nothing really in the main base right now to really protect Vaisravana, and the drop is headed straight that direction.
Exactly. Here we go. These Marines, they can trade so efficiently here. There are a lot of Lings, but again, no Banelings. So this shouldn't be enough to overwhelm and kill Vaisravana. But again, like, he trades so well with the man with gun. Oh my God.
Especially when he kites off creep like that.
Oh God. Aye. That spore from the side of the game finally goes down. Now the Marines are trying to get behind that mineral line.
Oh, not quite getting into the best position, but the stutter stepping is absolutely unreal. GG is called, and Naxin takes game number 1.
GG. When I saw that drop coming across the map, I was thinking, mate, is this going to end the game? And I was like, nah, Vaisravana, he has enough to hold on, right? Right? No, mate.
In theory, yeah. If there was a Baneling nest, then yeah, he would have had enough. But I don't know, something about Vaisravana, he seems allergic to the B button.
Well, I mean, he didn't intend the game to go on that long. Like, he was going for a kill move, and it didn't work, so we had to try and improvise. And unfortunately, as you were saying, there was no creep in the main base, right? So there was that area where those Marines could kite off of that creep and make it even more difficult for the Lings to get efficient trades. And that was just a really nice timing for Naxin with Stim and combat shields.
Absolutely. That is the type of drops that I wish I could do as a Terran player, Light. Why can't all my TVZs be this straightforward?
Was this straightforward? Like, he had to, things were scary for him for a moment, you know? Like, he had to defend against the all-in.
He did, to be fair.
And he did well,
Once he defended against that, yeah. he did really well in defending inside, and once he did, there was a pretty clear path for him ahead.
Exactly. I just want to praise him a little bit because that defense was so clutch, right? Like pulling the SCVs when he needed to, kiting back with his Hellions to make sure he could at least deal with all the links first, and then focus on the Roach Ravager. As all that was happening, that Banshee was just putting in that work, just hammering down on the Ravagers for the entirety of that engagement, slowly chipping away at them. And he didn't neglect his CCs. He lifted them up. He didn't lose anything, right? Like it was good.
Yeah, as they were in the air, there was banking energy. Once he landed those CCs, he could drop down a bunch of mules to really catch up in the economy. Actually catching up on stream a little bit here because I had a sneaking suspicion that towards the end of that game, Naxin did equalize the worker count, but not quite. Still, though, the power of Stim Marines.
Yeah. I mean, it goes to show, like, you say he didn't equalize. You could also argue that Vaisravana maybe droned up too hard after that push, True. Right? Like, and wasn't anticipating a counterattack like that.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely needed to make a decision then and there. His opponent was still on 3 CCs. Sure, he killed a ton of SCVs, but it buys him, what, a minute or 2 at most, where he has the advantage economically? At the end of the day, he made his decision, and Naxin made his own to counter that.
He did. He did. And now we have our lobby ready for us. Game number 2 is just around the corner. Oh, as I just realized, I apologize. Actually, there we go. Actually put the score in the wrong place. There we go. It is fixed on the overlay.
I'm just gonna blame it on a bit of a glitch that happens every now and then.
It happens. And we are diving into game number 2 here. Oh my god. Are we going to see Vaisravana? I mean, he stumbled out of the gate against Moriarty, but he was able to bring it back in that series, right? Maybe here he can do it again.
And maybe that's his signature style. He gives his opponents a false sense of confidence.
Yeah, and then he takes advantage of that.
Yeah, but I don't think Naxin is going to be a player to fall for that. He clearly has a lot of respect for Vaisravana here. He is just going to be playing a straight-out game no matter what.
Yeah.
Taking it seriously, no matter what.
Yeah. And Vaisravana, if you recalled, he did go for that pull first in game 1. Are we going to see something similar here? Are we going to see a more economic opener instead? As we are, this is 2,000 atmospheres, right? A more standard of the maps in the map pool.
Indeed it is. Wonder when it is. Must be the money. I wasn't sure how you would respond to that, so I decided to finish it.
I didn't know what good thing you did. I didn't know that's what you were going for. I didn't.
Yeah, I realized. I was like, wait a minute, that's not related to the song.
You're too vague, mate. You're too vague.
Yeah.
Oh god. Meanwhile, we are taking a while to load into this game. I hope no one has disconnected. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Someone may have.
I'm safe for now. Anyway, yeah. I'm safe for now. Anyway.
Okay.
Whew.
Someone may have disconnected. I did.
Ooh. That ain't too ideal.
Yeah. Hopefully we can get into this. Meanwhile, I'm going to just refresh the bracket, have a look to see if we have any other updates in other sections of the bracket. Ooh, we do. Yo, we already have a player ready and waiting for the winner of this series.
Oh my. A name that I'm honestly not too familiar with. I'm looking at the other side of the bracket. I just realized.
I was like, what?
I look at the other side of the bracket. I just realized. But yes, on the other side of this series right here, Cell is in fact waiting. Definitely was the favorite. I still think he's among the top favorites here. It's him and Naxin.
Oh yeah,
who are so heavily favored. It's such a shame that they have to face each other for this qualifying match, because honestly, any other changes to the seeding, even just little point differences here and there with how this bracket would have been seeded out, it would have been very likely that both players advanced to the close qualifiers, but it is what it is. And no! Naxin DC!
We knew it was someone, so we will have to remake the lobby. It's okay, it's okay. It shouldn't take too long. There we go, as it is being
Tell that
remade.
to Cell.
Poor Cell, poor Cell.
Waiting on the other side.
But I was gonna touch on that a little bit. I agree, like Cell, he's deserving to be in that qualifying spot and maybe even the next round, the close qualifiers. But you did say you did touch on a player that you've never heard of before. And that is Shinobu. He is waiting in the lower qualifying match. So I'm also curious how that's going to turn out, because I'm also not familiar with him. We haven't casted him before. I would say 100% Kevin Lou is the favorite down there, but maybe he can cause an upset.
Yeah. Shinobu definitely I feel like it's one of those names that we see every now and then in these Taiwanese events, but we've just never had the opportunity to cast him, to really, pick his brain and think, this is how he likes to play, and this is how he, what his form is looking like, or what he looks like when he's in form. But this could definitely be a bit of a breakthrough for him as we continue our other series here on 2000's Atmosphere LE, where they don't stop coming, something along those lines. The lyrics are escaping me. I vaguely remember we were going to do something about that last night. Anyway, in the bottom left-hand corner map, starting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner, we have a blue Terran player representing Clan Rush. Definitely one of the favorites here in this tournament overall, but let's see, anything can happen in the year 2000. He is Naxin.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres LE, we have the only Japanese player in this entire qualifier representing Team GDA. Going down in game number 1. Can he bring it back here in game 2? It is Vaisravana.
This time, not opting for that pool first.
Yeah, and I like this. Like, it was cool, it was cheeky to go for a pool first in game 1, but he was SCV scouted. Like, it didn't really phase Naxin in the end.
Yeah, still being as diligent as ever with his scouting. Knows that it's a hatch first and turns around. He definitely likes to be a little bit safe, Naxin, I guess.
Yeah, that's another thing that I've noticed, where the only thing he cares about is the timing on the hatchery. Like, he never he never goes up into the main to confirm anything,
Yeah, well, I guess when you see that the hatchery is on the standard timing, you don't have to worry too much for at least a couple of minutes. If it's a very, very late hatchery, that's when you need to start immediately worrying.
Exactly. So he does come all the way back home with his SCV, does keep it safe, and that Reaper is rushing across the map to see what damage he can get done. And last game, if you recall, it didn't kill a drone, but it did accidentally force a spore.
Yeah. Funnily enough, and that did come into play, delaying the third hat base, delaying the Roach Warren. Imagine if that Roach Ling push hit just a little bit quicker, right?
Yeah.
Before Naxin could really get a bunch of Marines just before the Banshee finished up, I believe, and definitely long before a tank could get out.
It's one of those things where an all-in like that, again, like the crisp, the timing, the sooner that you can execute your build and go across the map, the better. So it did definitely affect how that game played out. Was it the biggest of deals? It's hard to say, but it definitely did come into play in the end. So thankfully, we don't have that coming into play here in game number 2. Like, there is no spore, like the Reaper didn't get into a Mineral Lion.
Instead, it just gets into a whole lot of scouting information.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Naxin wasn't in position to delay that third hatchery. Vaisravana, he was able to get it up at a reasonable time, and now he just get into the swing of things. My question is, what do we see from here? Because once again, just like last game, we do have a faster third TC, and there we have that switch once again for that starport on that tech lab.
Banshee right off the gate. No Vikings this time to deny the Overlords. He's not researching cloaks, so for all Vaisravana knows, this is just a Viking coming out. Okay, there it is.
Yep, there is the cloak. It is revealed here to this Overlord, so nice scouting by Vaisravana. He does see everything here, and hopefully he is able to respond in kind and eventually get those spores up and running so the Banshee doesn't deal too much damage.
This is all part of Naxin's mind game. He forces an unwanted spore in game number 1, so then now Vaisravana is like, yes, I don't want to be too trigger happy with getting the spores, and that's when the Cloak Banshees come in. Okay, easy spores.
Yo, Naxin or Moriarty, mate. The big brain plays. The Gia Chad brain is coming into play here. Meanwhile, okay, we do have the spores on the way for Vaisravana. He is going to get ready for them. The other thing that I thought was interesting is that this time he is going for a Baneling Nest. Like, this is a lot more standard, you know, Ling Bane play coming out from our Zerg player.
Yeah, I think this is the first time tonight he's getting that Baneling Nest instead of a Roach Warren. There we go. I'll see how well he's able to utilize that. He does strike me as much more of a Roach positional type of player, but with Ling Bane, as long as you know how to flank your opponent, especially a Terran opponent, you can work wonders. It's a little bit easier when you get the Spire, though.
It is. I was really curious to see what was going to happen with that lair, and it was the Spire alongside Roach Speed to do this. So Vaisravana, he is getting much faster mutas, but he is delaying his upgrades. So no Evo Chambers left, or no Evo Chambers at all here for our Zerg player. That does mean that Naxin will have a big window where he will have a massive upgrade lead.
That he will, and as the stim finishes up, as the Medivacs get popped out, he is looking to take absolute advantage of that with an early push.
Yeah, I mean, that early push, it can be scary. It can definitely be scary. You need to make sure you have your army ready. You have to make a decision as a Zerg player. Do I want to keep my mutas at home to defend, or am I confident enough in my defense to try and harass across the map and keep Naxin busy at home? Oh my god.
Banshee's actually getting a decent amount of damage.
Yeah.
We'll be chased away as there is enough detection range, but was not expecting 4 drones to go down.
Yeah,
at this stage.
I'd forgotten about the Banshees. I wasn't expecting him to bank up 2 of them, and now he comes in, he just one-shot these workers. Doesn't matter that if there are spores here, he just outmaneuvers them.
Just like so, and he keeps those Banshees in the dead air. It's actually keeping these queens very, very occupied. A lot less defenses on the front lines that these Hellions and these Marines are looking to take advantage of.
Oh yeah, Naxin going for the 3-prong attack, mate. We have Banshees in the main, we have Hellions at the 3rd, and we have this double drop headed towards the 4th, or just straight into the main base to try and help out those Banshees.
Mate, no matter what, Naxin is going to get damage done. Oh, but the Mutalists do catch the Hellions. Oh. That is going to throw a massive wrench in the multi-prong plans here of Naxin.
Oh, exactly, and the Ling Bane was ready and waiting for the drop, so the drop doesn't do anything here, but he does just drop down to that 4th base instead, threatening this hatchery, does force all the mutas to come back and respond.
Just like so, the Hellions have mostly been dealt with, so yeah, he's not going to be able to go for that multi-prong once again, but he is just distracting his army so well.
Yeah. At the same time, the Banshees come back in. It looks like one of them did go down to the Spore, did force a bunch of drones off the line. Didn't get too many kills, but here we go. All those Hellions from earlier, this is the power of them if they survive the early game, because now they all turn into these Hellbats ready to soak up those Banelings.
They can soak up the Banelings. They can make sure that the Zerglings don't get a surround. Super versatile, specifically against Ling Bane compositions. Naxin taking this very, very seriously. His Widow Mines aren't here. They are back at home as a bit of a rudimentary anti-mutalist defense, but now a couple of them are starting to get in position. They don't even need to connect with the Banelings Light. The splits were that good.
Mate, that was that good without the Widow Mines, and now the Widow Mines are here. What are the mutas going to do? They're going to try and push in, but the Widow Mines are ready. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
For a second, I thought, oh my god, I'm scared. Vaisravana is going to be able to clean up the Widow Mines. So I was like, wait a minute. That doesn't sound right. And plenty of Mutalists fall. There's no more detection over here. Look at how red they are. The Marines do not need to worry at all as they clean house. GG. Naxin is going forward to face Cell in that qualifying match. Well played indeed. Mate,
Wow.
Vaisravana had a lot of really good ideas throughout that series. In game number 1, with his attack. In game number 2, I appreciated it a lot more, where he was playing a bit more passive, a bit more standard, and
Yeah.
it definitely had a plan going forward, but Naxin just came in early on, punched him in the face, and said, "What good is a plan against this much force this early?"
Exactly, like that was a beautiful timing with all of his upgrades. On top of that, like not just with his bio play, but like his banshees were doing a lot of damage. They were keeping Vaisravana busy. If you recall, the mutas, they were trying to do something across the map, but they were forced back home, so they didn't really accomplish any economic damage whatsoever. And it all just came together there at the end, like the bio, the hellbats, the mines, everything, mate. Ooh, Jesus.
Mate, I gotta be honest, I'm still kind of impressed those Hellions stayed alive after they were caught by the mutas.
Yeah. Like as soon as that happened, like the Hellions, they just legged it back home to the safety of the third base. Damn.
Yeah, third base, Marines, Widow Mines as well. I guess it just goes to show how adaptable Naxin really can be. He wanted to go for a multi-pronged Banshees and Marines in the main base, Hellions hitting that third, but when that was no longer viable, he said, okay, I'll just keep my Hellions alive. I'll come back later on as Hellbats, and I'm gonna decimate you in the main engagement.
Exactly. That's what just happened. Oh boy. And with that, we are getting ready for our ace match. Our players are just confirming their veto process, and I say ace match. We're getting ready for our first qualifying match of the night.